What's up, my fellow Steamies, and welcome back to All About Sodor, the series where we talk about Sodor, the hometown of Thomas the Tank Engine and all of his friends. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about one of the most obscure pieces of the history of Sodor, which is the Peel Godred branch line. So, what exactly is the Peel Godred branch? Well, the Peel Godred branch is a very obscure piece of history of the Railway series. Now, some of you might be wondering, what is the Railway series? So, for those who are unaware, Thomas and Friends is based on a Railway series book called, well, the Railway series, written by the Rev. W. Awdry. Now, Awdry loved to get creative and loved to expand on his railway, and one of these was the Peel Godred branch, which is a full electric line on the island of Sodor, which has a very rocky history. It's something that was created in the books, but never really touched on the TV show. I'll get that into in a little bit. But one reason I love this branch so much is because it's shrouded in mystery. Even though it is a line that is very well known in some Thomas and Friends communities, it's never touched on the TV series or even the books. It's just a piece of history that we found out only about a decade ago, actually. So let's talk about the history of the Peel Godred branch and talk about its purpose. So, what is its role in the Railway series, and what is its history? Well, in the Act of 1953, the Sodor and Mainland Railway, which is originally what it was called, gained the power to build a line from Kronk, which is one of the stations, but this never happened and fell through as the railway was becoming increasingly bankrupt. The Mid-Sodor Railway, which is a railway that I will talk about in another episode, was the result of this failed attempt. However, back in 1923, the Peel Godred Power Company was granted permission to build a dam and hydraulic power station 1 mile north from the town. To supply it, a branch built by the newly formed North-Western Railway, which is the railway that it runs Sodor, was constructed from Kildane, one of the stations, with the company paying half of the construction costs. The line's opening immediately caused a decrease in traffic on the Mid-Sodor Railway, which is again a different railway I'll talk about in a different episode, resulting in its closure. The eventual electric traction was supplied by the power station. Electrification was provided via an overhead Canteri system. So you can see how this is very different and how it really gets deep into what the railway is all about, talks about bankruptcy, and overall it's just a unique piece of history. But that's not all it provides. It also has several different types of stations. From the junctions at Kildane, the lines run north to Abbey, then to Coldefell Railway at Kirk Mansion, which is a different railway that I will get to in a different episode. And finally, the town of Peel Godred, for its sake. The aluminum works are located 1 mile north of that. That is in the Railway series, but in the television series, it works very, very different. In the television series, it is also calls at Howen Lake and Whiff's Waste Dump. There is also the Sodor Power Station, which is located between the aluminum works and Peel Godred, and it is responsible for producing all the electricity on Sodor. Unfortunately, not much is drove into the series, so there's not very much we know about its engines and whatnot. Based on the Railway series alone, there is never any engines or anything that's described based on past. It's basically an electric line, which kind of leaves the fans up to it. So, obviously there's no merchandise or anything of it, but I thought it would be a nice obscure piece of history to talk about today. So, that concludes for today's episode. And now, stay tuned for next week as we will be talking about the Mid-Sodor Railway and how it lost its closure.